Welcome back to Mindful Connections. In this installment, I'm wanting to look at the first chapter of my book, Destiny's Way, and looking at separation as part of what happens in our journey towards our destiny. I'm going to be using some examples that I can take from my experience as a Black woman and also looking at maybe some of the general experiences as it pertains to Black women and how they see their own development towards their destiny and some of the challenges that they faced. So, we are first going to be taking a look at separation and what that means, and also how it can be exhibited and can be a useful marker in determining what your next step may be in your journey in life. When there are major events that happen in life, a lot of times what that requires of us to be able to get through that is a sense of resilience, a sense of fortitude, a sense of creativity, and definitely a sense of strength. We know oftentimes one of the first words that's used to describe Black women is going to be that they are strong. And we get that. We understand that that is what has been exhibited historically and in the roles that we've been required to be in order to make change, in order to either support leadership or be leaders ourselves. A lot of that has come about as a result of us showing up. And in showing up, we've been labeled as strong. So that sense of resilience is really something I think that is a quality that is shown by Black women who have tried to move forward and have tried to maybe push their community forward as well. We see that repeatedly throughout history. So, in the way that that relates to separation, what we're looking at is that there's not a conforming all the time to the norms that society puts forth. And therefore, Black women are set apart, a lot of times seen as different, a lot of times seen as misunderstood, a lot of times also having to mask what some of their strengths are in order to not be seen as combative or angry or messy or challenging. And so there is a bit of a difference that is made. But in the cases of separation to accomplish overall destiny and purpose, that difference is not a bad thing. It's something that actually works for the benefit of that individual, or in this case, in talking about Black women, it can work for the group. We know that Black women have spearheaded a lot of civil rights movement, a lot of equality movements, and that is something that isn't just for that particular population. However, it has been closely related to some of the qualities and the strengths that they've demonstrated over time. In my book, I talk about how separation is typically caused because there is some sense of something greater needing to happen. A lot of times it can be a detour. It's not necessarily a direct route where the separation actually ends up occurring. It's more so of maybe something of inconvenience or noticing that a change needs to take place. And that pursuit of correcting that issue or solving that problem, or creatively trying to address things can then lead to a separation. And it's during that separation where that person's identity and value and worth may actually seem like it's squashed down or hidden. But all of that's necessary for the development of the tools and the qualities that a person needs in order to come into their fullness and fulfill their overall destiny and purpose in life. Where this is typically shown up for me is in times where I'm making a transition into a different area or arena. I am originally from Indiana and I made the choice to move to Texas. I would definitely say that was a period of separation. I was pursuing my master's degree at that time. And so I moved to Texas so that I could go to school there. And there was definitely a sense of trying to find my footing, not really knowing where I stood, not feeling as if I fit in. Still don't always feel like I fit in, which is the majority of the case, being a quote unquote misfit. However, in that particular time, it was harder, like transitioning and making that cultural shift from Indiana to Texas was definitely noticeable for me. And there was a reason that I was doing it. If there was a greater purpose, right, behind it. So it was necessary for me in order to take those steps and to have that sense of separation in order to fully develop like I needed to and to reach the goals that I intended to reach. Separation doesn't just occur physically, it can also occur emotionally, ideologically, spiritually. So, for a lot of people, what can happen is during these times, they may also be distancing themselves from what they once held as maybe belief systems or the way that they operated in the world. And that can also cause a bit of internal disruption and unrest. It's hard when you realize that something that you've held on to for a really long time is no longer going to serve you, that the thing that you identified with previously isn't going to serve you any longer. Even in the book, where I have proposed certain ideas and ideologies, I don't necessarily align myself with those things anymore. I've deconstructed a lot of what was in that book for me, but there are these primary concepts and this pattern that I recognize that people go through in the development of their strongest self. Or maybe in their best self, most congruent self, that they go through in kind of coming to that place and feeling really secure in that place for themselves. So, separation offers an opportunity to develop yourself in a lot of different ways and to come up with some functional ideas and methods to actually interact with the world around you. But you do that during a period of silence, almost during a period of isolation. So, it really kind of takes you through some of those struggles, but you do end up coming out on the other end with a clearer picture of who you are and where you would like to be or what you would like your impact to be on the world and coming out of that. And although that period of separation is there and people do feel more isolated during that period, there's also an opportunity to grow community from that. So, what we saw with what happened in this past voting period is that 92% of Black women felt a certain way after seeing what the results were. They felt separated, they felt distanced, they felt isolated from the community. And as a result, they decided to form community. We engaged more with one another. We knew we had to prioritize one another. We knew we had to support one another during this time in whatever way, shape, or form that was going to take. It was determined in that moment the necessity of creating community and creating unity, and also ensuring that we could continue to do so safely. So the struggle of kind of feeling set apart from everything else, also coming to grips with maybe some disillusionment that was happening during that time, did lead to more of a sense of community. Although potentially short lived, it was very strong initially. I'm hoping that we continue to see that momentum and that continues to carry out. I believe, obviously, there is strength in numbers, and that sense of community goes so much further when we're able to have it be consistent. There's a lot of talk around self care, but self care in and of itself can't be a complete solution. So, when a person comes out of this period of separation and isolation, or when a population comes out of this period of what feels like separation and isolation, it is important to identify where they can then reconnect and have a sense of being with others, in order to kind of mend maybe some of those wounds that happened and to be able to share what you identified when you were in that period of like self reflection, and coming more so to terms about what you would like life to look like as a result of having been separated for a little bit of time. It's during periods of separation and in times that seem like our greatest trials where we can also establish the groundwork for some of our greatest triumphs. So it's my hope that through kind of discussing what separation looks like and what isolation periods can look like, that people will gain some understanding of how they can move forward in not just hope, but a hope that turns into action and create some sense of activity, again, towards what they want their ultimate goal in life to be, what they hope to accomplish, and how they hope to impact others positively. So I would like this to kind of raise the vision of what people have for themselves. I am naturally an encourager and somebody who is more strength based in looking at others and helping them identify how they can move forward. So it is my goal in presenting this information that somebody might be able to take from this a way that they can utilize their period of separation and feeling maybe distanced and apart and in more of that misfit territory, that helps to lead them accomplish greater things in life and really continue to see the value in themselves, even if it hasn't been seen during a hard period like separation. Our journeys may include periods of pain and pride, grief and glory. And so it's that broad range of emotions that can really take place. It's my hope that through talking about some of these different frameworks that we are experiencing collectively, that we would be able to learn and kind of elevate and support one another. If you have felt like there was any value that you received from this, my hope it would be that you would like, share, maybe even comment, to continue the conversation, so that we can continue to discuss, some of these different things and develop some of these concepts. I will also be incorporating other elements from my book to continue to talk about the other stages that are included along one's path to their destiny. We'll be looking at the part that counsel plays, in developing one's specific identity and also in creating the impact that they want to have on others. Thank you for attending this installment of Mindful Connections, and I hope to see you here next time. And as always, live inspired, Misfits.